Welcome to the War Academy channel. Today, we have the fascinating story of one of the most famous divisions of World War II, that needs no introduction. Next, we are going to look at the origins, development and combat, and end of the elite division of the Wehrmacht Großdeutschland. This formation always had the most select volunteer personnel, as well as the best material available, and gradually earned its reputation on the battlefield until it was finally considered one of the most powerful divisions in the Wehrmacht. Naturally, this always led her to be in the most critical places on the front, in increasingly desperate battles against which it was difficult to maintain a position. The origins of this unit date back to 1934, when a Guard Corps was created within the German army to secure and protect the high command buildings in Berlin. From then on, the Großdeutschland would compete with other emerging formations such as the Leibstandarte, belonging to the Waffen-SS, and both would compete to reach the highest status. At first, when the Battle of France began, the Großdeutschland formation was a 4-battalion regiment. This means that its size was approximately 1/3 normal division. Unlike most divisions in the German army, which were made up of soldiers from the same province, this unit had specially selected recruits from all over the country. This regiment entered into action for the first time during the French campaign, and in the same way as Leibstandarte, it was a motorized unit, and they were the ones that penetrated the French lines the fastest and deepest. Großdeutschland's place of penetration was the Ardennes region, together with Army Group A, which, as you know, had the mission of isolating the Franco-British troops. Once they achieved this objective, reaching Dunkirk itself, this formation continued its attacks towards the city of Lyon. It is estimated that their losses during this campaign were about 220 killed and 830 wounded, or what is the same, between 1/3 and a quarter of the unit. This is undoubtedly one of the drawbacks of always being at the forefront, and it is estimated that during the month and a half that the campaign lasted, said regiment traveled 7,000 kilometers. Its members were highly decorated, and at least 400 Großdeutschland soldiers received some form of decoration ranging from the Iron Cross Second Class to the Knight's Cross. The next action in which he would participate was in the invasion of Yugoslavia, in which they would once again be the spearhead of the attack together with the Leibstandarte, and that is that, to tell the truth, and as we will see, both units used to always form the vanguard of the German army. Once again, this campaign was concluded quickly and cleanly for the Germans. Later, the Großdeutschland would be sent to the border with the Soviet Union to participate in the invasion of that country, framed within the Center Army Group. The direction that the unit took at first was that of Kiev, but due to the enormous resistance encountered in the south of the Soviet Union, it was soon moved a little further south along the north bank of the Bug River. Once the Soviet troops were encircled in Kiev, the Großdeutschland was rushed into the central sector to take part in the final offensive on Moscow, known as Operation Typhoon. After failing in its attempt, and after enduring the different counterattacks of the Red Army, this regiment was completely depleted, supporting casualties of 4,070 troops out of its total of about 5,000. 1,100 were killed and missing and the rest wounded, but, in any case, the unit's combat capacity had been reduced to a minimum. By this time, however, the Großdeutschland had earned a reputation for being one of the most professional and effective combat formations in the entire German army. It was specifically here, during this lull in fighting that occurred in the spring of 1942, that this unit was reorganized and became a motorized infantry division. However, and as we said at the beginning, this was not going to be a normal motorized infantry division, as it was equipped with a total of 18,000 specially selected men from all over Germany and with more than 70 battle tanks of all kinds, including 32 Panzers IV. It was one of the first formations to receive the Panzers IV Model F2 that had a long 75mm cannon, capable of facing the T-34. In addition to these Stug 3 tanks and assault guns, the division also had dozens of half-tracks, 88mm anti-aircraft guns, and 170mm and 150mm heavy-towed artillery. To give us an idea, the formation even had its own section of war correspondence, which helped make its fame well known, since a large amount of graphic material was generated about it. In short, by the early summer of 1942, the Großdeutschland was one of the strongest divisions, if not the strongest, in the entire German army. Despite its good material and great selection of its members, as a more negative point we have that due to its rapid formation and reconfiguration, which lasted only a couple of months, it was not possible to give a very complete training to the new recruits. The next action of this fully formed unit is found in the summer of 1942 with Operation Blue. The Großdeutschland was assigned to the 4th Panzer Army and participated in the first offensive actions, breaking through to the city of Voronezh. During this advance, he fought heavy battles against Soviet units that counterattacked, but were unable to do anything against the elite German division. After these first few weeks of fighting, the division finally ended up fighting as far as Rostov, but once there, it did not continue in the direction of either the Caucasus or Stalingrad, but was now reassigned to the central sector to help defend the Rzhev salient. There he would fight heavily in November 1942 when the Soviets launched Operation Mars, but despite the power of Zhukov's attack, the German lines held. With the 6th Army encircled at Stalingrad and the danger of the entire southern front collapsing, the Großdeutschland Division was ordered to withdraw from the central sector, heading south again. His mission was to join the forces that were going to re-establish the front line again. It was here that it was first equipped with a company of a total of 9 Tiger-type main battle tanks. During the next few weeks, the division participated in the fighting around Kharkov together with the 3 elite divisions of the Waffen-SS, being able to re-establish the situation by mid-March 1943. After this, its new mission would be to prepare for the German offensive. In Operation Citadel, due to heavy casualties throughout all these fighting, the division was again reorganized and now promoted as a Panzer Grenadier Division. However, and once again, it was not just a normal Panzer Division, as it was the most powerful armored division on the Eastern Front. For the Kursk offensive, she was provided with a total of 15 Tigers, 81 Panzer Ives, 50 Panzer Zeiss, 35 Stugs, and numerous self-propelled artillery. In total there were some 232 armored vehicles, to which must be added the almost 200 new Panthers that were also assigned to the Großdeutschland unit. During this offensive of July 1943 and the different Soviet counter-offensives, the division fought extremely hard, going from one place to another, always in the most compromised areas. In any case, during the first days of the offensive, which lasted from July 5 to 12, Großdeutschland claimed to have destroyed more than 260 enemy tanks, as well as numerous material of all kinds. From this point, it was withdrawn further south towards Kharkov and Belgorod, fighting a series of defensive battles for months throughout the Ukraine until it reached the Dnieper River. During these combats in which he went from one place to another, he came to earn the pseudonym the Fire Department. During the first months of 1944, it was fighting ferocious defensive combats that little by little would push it to present-day Moldova. Finally, it had to be used as a reinforcement of the Romanian border, since it was vital that the Soviets did not enter that country and capture the oil sources. However, after the collapse of the German Northern and Central Front with Operation Bagration, it had to be sent to the area again to deal with the Soviets, already practically on the borders of East Prussia. The mission that was now assigned to the Großdeutschland was to maintain the corridor in Riga that would allow the Northern Army Group to withdraw and not be surrounded, which they temporarily achieved, although they finally ended up trapped in Kurland. After heavy fighting, the remnants of the battered division were isolated and virtually annihilated in the port of the ancient Lithuanian city of Memel. After being able to be evacuated by sea to East Prussia in November 1944, it was reassigned to the defensive line of the Vistula River, awaiting the Soviet offensive. This division was far from having the combat capacity of a few years ago and could do nothing to stop the Soviet avalanche that came upon them in January 1945. It was being pushed back to the city of Königsberg, and by March 1945 only about 4,000 troops remained in the division. Again, they were surrounded again in the city of Pillau, and although some managed to escape and surrender to the British, most of the division succumbed there until its final surrender to the Soviets. However, very few finally surrendered, as practically all of them had fallen during the last weeks of fighting. In summary, we can see how this elite division had been created to be the spearhead of the German army in all its offensives, but once the course of the war changed, it was used as a unit to plug the various gaps. Equipped with the best equipment and the most select soldiers, it always achieved amazing successes, and it was not until the summer of 1944 that they were totally outmatched by the Soviets and were overwhelmed. Well, so far this program on the history of one of the most legendary divisions of World War II. What do you think of this unit, and which one do you propose for the next video? Do you think that if he had been in Stalingrad as a reserve, he would have contained the Soviet encirclement? I recommend the one that we already did, similar to this one about the 12th Panzer Division of the Waffen-SS Hitlerjugend, which I leave you in the description. The books that I have used to make this video have been Donbass 1943 by Juan Campos Ferreira, The Praetorian Guard of the Third Reich by Carlos Caballero Jurado, and Kursk 1943 by Roman Topol. I also leave the links in the description. That's all. Subscribe and give it a like if you liked this video, and see you in the next program. See you soon.